message from scratch. This first part, if you're interested in actually pulling your own ad hoc reports, this will kind of go through that process. I'll show you the fields you need to pull within there. Also, I can share those fields in that ad hoc report with you through a shared folder within Campus. That way you have access to that. Also, I'll later on individually when I meet with you, I can give you the username and password to get into SchoolReach. So I'm just going to log into Infinite Campus. Basically all I need is ad hoc rights. On the left hand side of the screen, I'm going to go down to Ad Hoc Filter Designer. If you're creating this from scratch, you would do a query wizard and data type is student. Query wizard and census staff if you did want to pull a staff list. Being I need to pull one anyways for Journey Elementary, I'm going to go ahead and do that. You always want to make sure you're under the right year, right school, and the right calendar when you're doing this. So I'm going to go ahead and select Journey Elementary under 12-13. Switch off the pre-K calendar and go to the normal calendar. Under there I've got a ton of ad hocs that I've created, so I'm going to skip through those real quick and get down to my SchoolReach one that I use. There's the staff one, but I need to go to my student one. There it is. And I'm going to just edit so I can check my fields. Basically these are the fields we typically pull. Sometimes we need to adjust those a little bit, but based on the time of year, especially with the active today field, which is the very last one, if it was before school started, we would want to remove that field. But typically, anytime from the beginning of school to the end of school, I like to keep that field in there. I make it true or equal to 1 so that it pulls only our active students, not students that have left the district. So other fields include student.last name, student.first name. I do pull several different phones with students for their contacts just because different parents have different locations for what they want their phone number. With that, I also pull the contact's email address in case you do want to send an email through SchoolReach. The main advantage of sending the email through SchoolReach right now versus Campus Messenger, like we demoed with all your admin assistants during the the school in-service at the right before school started, is because you can currently send an attachment with SchoolReach where you can't with Campus Messenger. They are adding that feature. Typically now if we send something from Messenger, we put it on our website and then just send the link to that document, so that works as well. These are the fields. Again, I can save the SchoolReach test message into a shared ad hoc report that you guys have access to. So once I do that, I'll hit next here just so you can see how I did. Active today equals true, basically meaning there's a positive value for that field. With that, we're going to save and test. When you see this report, it's actually going to have lists, a lot of times students listed multiple because they have multiple fields that are true that have data. You can see if that first student right away that's true, that information is multiple, but anytime that comes into SchoolReach, it only calls that number once, so we don't really have to worry about that separating it out. You from here could just edit and copy. I'll go ahead and do that into an Excel sheet. Or if you already knew you had the report ran correctly, you could have went to the data export in the very first process and saved it as a CSV. I'll go ahead and open an Excel sheet and paste that in there. It takes just a second as it's quite a bit of data. And a lot of times I'll just get rid of these first couple fields, delete those cells out just because they're more information from the ad hoc, not essentially data. Alright, so we got our information here. Really don't need active 1 anymore. And I'm going to do a file, save as, save it somewhere just where I have access to it. So I'll just temporarily save it to my desktop, put journey, and 9/19, so I know a date. You can save it as XLSX, it'll import that. You could save it as a CSV too. If you did the data export option within Campus through Ad Hoc, you would get an option for CSV. Once we get into SchoolReach, we'll just have to tell the import option what kind of file we saved it as. So for this sake, we'll just leave it as XLS or XLSX, either or. Go ahead and save. And pretty much we're done with Campus at this point. If you don't feel comfortable with this, let me know. I'd be glad to help you practice through this, or I can just create these for you and drop them in your folder and stuff as needed, or import them into SchoolReach. So we're going to run over to SchoolReach here, and again, I'm not going to tell you the password over this screen recording, but I will get you the information. The username is there, which is just our phone number. The site, just schoolreach.com, you can go to, log in. First thing we always do is just go to SchoolReach 3.0. So when I click on that, well, that's going to that site. I just give you a couple rule of thumbs. Typically, if I'm pulling your data, we update the entire district student information daily within the SchoolReach, just in case we need to send out a mass phone call or something if weather's bad. That one automatically syncs, but our smaller, more individualized reports, all the others, that's more of a manual process that we pull those ad hoc reports, and typically I only update that the first day of every month. So just continuing on, I'm going to go ahead and go to our lists. Within lists, I'm going to create a new list. Name, you get pretty much as many characters as you want. Abbreviations only give you 3. So I'm just going to put journey, and we'll put K through 5. And Journey Elementary School, I'll just do JES for abbreviation. And I just need to remember it's going to be list number 19. So I'm going to go ahead and create that. Now I need to add records to that. So I'm going to go under Add Records. It's being a little slow on me. Once here, just remember I did save it as an XLS this time, so I do need to switch this field to Excel. I browse for that file on my desktop. So if I go and remember what I saved it as, should be alphabetical here. Journey 919, there it is. I'm going to go and open that box. Then I am going to upload this data to the database. From this point, I just got to match my fields to the right category. So I'm just going to go through last name, match the categories, first name, phone. Now before I do any more phone numbers, I'm going to check this box just so it knows that it can pick from separate categories, yet it doesn't allow me extensions, which we typically don't have in Campus. But it will only, again, dial one time per number. Grade. There's another phone number. Email. Phone. School, we'll just leave that selected. And import. Here's kind of where it does its clearinghouse of multiple numbers. It kind of gets those cleared out. It does keep one for every cell number, every home number, but then it gets rid of the ones that had identical. A lot of times here it'll separate it out. So now I've got my list created. I am ready to go launch. If you have any questions on making a message or creating a message, let me know. I've got directions on that I can send you to. I think I've got it out to most of you, and most of you have created a voice message already. Okay, so under launch, this is where I'm actually going to send it, decide who I want to send it to. So, for instance, basically, if I wanted to send a voice call, I would go pick my list. So I'm just going to pick something by default, whatever I created. The one I created earlier, I guess, was number 19, so I could go to that one I just created to and create multiple ones, whatever I want to send to. Then from there, I just decide my options. I want to create a mess, or basically send a message. There's some different things you can do too with surveys, attendance, but typically it's the message we want to send. The next window we'll be able to actually pick our message that we created, that you've created on the phone. General broadcast. You have the option to launch immediately if you're ready to send, or basically you could send at a later time. Same thing with email. You can schedule those ahead of time, and so on. Sometimes, just so we know who's sending in case there was a problem, always put your contact information here, just your name and phone number in case there's an issue. So say I want to do a later time, proceed, and I better cancel that. It means I'm doing this a little late at night, but typically I would just select from library and pick the pre-recorded message that I created when it told me on the phone. So with that, that's it. And then basically you go ahead and hit send at the end of that message and it's scheduled. Pretty straightforward. Let me know if you've had any issues or questions. You want me to come over and run through it with you the first time. No problems with that. I'll be posting this on the wiki and sending you guys the link. So hope this is a good way of training. If there's anything else you want trained on, feel free to let me know. I can create these little podcast type applications that for whatever application you desire. So thanks.